Today, Canto XXXII of Dante's Purgatorio, in which the poet is warned not to gaze too fixedly on Beatrice. The procession moves on, accompanied by Matilda, Statius, and Dante, till they reach an exceedingly lofty tree, where diverse strange chances befall. Now, on Kurt reads a poem, Canto number 32 of Dante's Purgatorio. So steadfast and attentive were mine eyes in satisfying their decennial thirst, that all my other senses were extinct, and upon this side and on that they had walls of indifference, so the holy smile drew them unto itself with the old net. When forcibly my sight was turned away towards my left hand by those goddesses, because I heard from them a too intently, and that condition of the sight which is in eyes but lately smitten by the sun, bereft me of my vision some short while. But to the less when sight reshaped itself, I say the less in reference to the greater splendor from which perforce I had withdrawn, I saw upon its right wing wheeled about the glorious host, returning with the sun, and with the sevenfold flames upon their faces. As underneath its shields, to save itself, a squadron turns, and with its banner wheels before the whole thereof can change its front, that soldiery of the celestial kingdom which marched in the advance had wholly passed us before the chariot had turned its pole. Then to the wheels the maidens turned themselves, and the griffin moved its burden benighted, but so that not a feather of him fluttered. The lady fair who drew me through the ford followed with Statius, and myself the wheel, which made its orbit with the lesser arc. So passing through the lofty forest, vacant by fault of her who in the serpent trusted, angelic music made our steps keep time. Perchance as great a space had in 3 flights an arrow loosened from the string o'erpassed, as we moved when Beatrice descended. I heard them murmur all together, Adam, then circled they about a tree despoiled of blooms and other leafage on each bough. Its tresses, which so much the more dilate as higher they ascend, had been by Indians among their forests marveled at for height. Blessed art thou, O Griffin, who dost not pluck with thy beak these branches sweet to taste, since appetite by this was turned to evil. After this fashion round the tree robust the others shouted, and the twofold creature thus is preserved the seed of all the just. And turning to the pole which he had dragged, he drew it close beneath the widowed bough, and what was of it unto it left bound. In the same manner as our trees, when downward falls the great light, with that together mingled which after the celestial lasca shines, begin to swell, and then renew themselves, each one with its own color ere the sun harness his steeds beneath another star, less than of rose and more than violet a hue disclosing was renewed the tree that had erewhile its boughs so desolate. I never heard, nor here below is sung, the hymn which afterwards that people sang, nor did I bear the melody throughout. Had I the power to paint how fell asleep those eyes compassionless of Syrinx hearing, those eyes to which more watching cost so dear, even as a painter who from model paints, I would portray how I was lulled asleep. He may, who well can picture drowsyhood. Therefore I pass to what time I awoke, and say a splendor rent from me the veil of slumber, and a calling, Rise, what dost thou? As to behold the apple tree in blossom, which makes the angels greedy for its fruit, and keeps perpetual bridals in the heaven, Peter and John and James conducted were, and overcame, recovered at the word by which still greater slumbers have been broken, and saw their school diminished by the loss, not only of Elias, but of Moses, and the apparel of their master changed. So I revived, and saw that piteous one above me standing, who had been conductress aforetime of my steps beside the river. And all in doubt I said, Where is Beatrice? And she, Behold her seated underneath the leafage new, upon the root of it. Behold the company that circles her. The rest behind the griffin are ascending with more melodious song, and more profound. And if her speech were more diffuse, I know not, because already in my sight was she, who from the hearing of aught else had shut me. Alone she sat upon the very earth, left there as guardian of the chariot, which I had seen the biform monster fasten. Encircling her, a cloister made themselves, the 7 nymphs, with those lights in their hands which are secure from Aquilon and Auster. Short while shalt thou be here a forester, and thou shalt be with me forevermore a citizen of that Rome where Christ is Roman. Therefore, for that world's good which liveth ill, fix on the car thine eyes, and what thou seest, having returned to earth, take heed thou write. Thus Beatrice, and I, who at the feet of her commandments all devoted was, my mind and eyes directed where she willed. Never descended with so swift emotion fire from a heavy cloud when it is raining from out the region which is most remote, as I beheld the bird of Jove descend down through the tree, rending away the bark as well as blossoms and the foliage new, and he with all his might the chariot smote, whereat it reeled like vessel in a tempest, tossed by the winds now starboard and now larboard. Thereafter saw I leap into the body of the triumphal vehicle a fox, that seemed unfed with any wholesome food. But for his hideous sins upbraiding him, my lady put him to as swift a flight as such a fleshless skeleton could bear. Then by the way that it before had come into the chariot's chest I saw the eagle descend, and leave it feathered with its plumes. And such as issue from a heart that mourns, a voice from heaven there issued, and it said, My little bark, how badly art thou frightened? Methought then that the earth did yawn between both wheels, and I saw rise from it a dragon, who through the chariot upward fixed his tail, and as a wasp that draweth back its sting, drawing unto himself his tail malign, drew out the floor, and went his way rejoicing. That which remained behind, even as with grass a fertile region with the feathers offered perhaps with pure intention and benign reclothed itself, and with them were reclothed the pole and both the wheels so speedily, a sigh doth longer keep the lips apart. Transfigured thus the holy edifice thrust forward heads upon the parts of it, 3 on the pole and 1 at either corner. The first were horned like oxen, but the 4 had but a single horn upon the forehead. A monster such had never yet been seen. Firm as a rock upon a mountain high, seated upon it there appeared to me a shameless whore, with eyes swift glancing round, and as if not to have her taken from him, upright beside her I beheld a giant. And even and anon they kissed each other. But because she her wanton roving eye turned upon me, her angry paramour did scourge her from her head unto her feet. Then, full of jealousy and fierce with wrath, he loosed the monster, and across the forest dragged it so far, he made of that alone a shield unto the whore and the strange beast. Thus ends Canto 32 of Dante's Purgatorio. Hey, thanks for watching, and have a great day.